and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I will be teaching you how you can make something wintry for the season, which is going to be this balaclava scarf. I have actually already shared on my channel how you can make balaclava, but this project is going to be a little different because it has this bottom part attached, which basically works as a scarf. So definitely this project is going to be fun as well and something unique, especially for this winter season. During this tutorial I will be going a little bit faster than I normally do, just because for the granny square part I have already shared on my channel how you can make it, which is quite detailed video. So if you require more guidance, then just feel free to check out that video. Otherwise, it just has these basic stitches, so if you're familiar with them, I'm sure that you will be able to follow along. But nonetheless, if you have any questions, then just feel free to reach out in the comment section and I will try to help you from there. But now, without further ado, let's jump into it. Here are the materials that I will be using. Here I have 2 colors of wool blend yarn from Hobby, and in total for this project you will need approximately 2 rolls from each color. And just in case if you're wondering, here are some more specs about this specific type of yarn. As you can see, it's suggesting to use 6mm hook. However, for this project I will actually be using 5mm hook, but it's totally up to you what kind of material and hook you want to use. And you will also need scissors, and here is the final granny square which we will be starting with during this tutorial. And in total this granny square measures to around 15.5 centimeters, so just keep that in mind that this is the size that we are going for, just in case if you're using different materials. Also, within this video I will be going a little bit faster with explaining all the steps of how to make this granny square, just because I have already shared a tutorial of how to make this granny square before. So if you want a little bit more in detailed explanation, you can check the video on my channel, which I will link above as well as in the description box, so it's easier for you to find. But now let's jump into it. So first I'm starting with the white color because of the snowflake that we have in the middle, and our first step is to do a magic ring. So I'm just doing that and then we can get started. And first we just have to chain 2, so 1 and 2, and then we will be working to make clusters. So for the first step we just have to do 1 double crochet, so I'm just doing that, and this counts as 1 cluster. After each of them we are just chaining 1, and then we can proceed doing clusters which consist of 2 double crochets. So for that I'm basically just doing 2 unfinished double crochet stitches and just connecting them into 1 cluster like this, and after each of them I'm just chaining 1. So here I have 2 clusters already. So for this first round we just have to make 8 clusters in total, and we just have to remember to chain 1 after each of them. So just proceed with doing that and I will meet you once we are able to connect this round. Here I have done all 8 clusters for the first round, so now we can close the magic ring just by pulling this loose piece of yarn that we have here, and then we can connect this round to make sure that it's connected. And for that I'm just doing a slip stitch inside the first cluster that we made like this. So now first round is finalized and we can proceed with the next one. So our first step to get started is to do another slip stitch here in the chain 1 space that we have like this, and then we are starting to do clusters again, and we will be doing 2 clusters inside each space that we have here, each chain of 1, and in between them we will be doing 2 chains. So let's get started. We're first doing 2 chains and then adding 1 double crochet inside the same space. It counts as 1 cluster. After that we are chaining 2, and then we are adding another 2 double crochet cluster inside this very same space like this. So this is the first one, and then right away we are jumping into the next chain of 1 space, and in there again we are just adding 1 cluster, so connecting 2 unfinished double crochets into 1 stitch, then chaining 2 and adding another cluster of 2 double crochets like that. Here I'm just finalizing it, and this is how it looks. So this is the step that you just have to keep on repeating throughout this round. So add in 2 clusters inside every space that you have, and in between them do 2 chains. So here I have finished second round, and now we can again connect it by doing a slip stitch in the first cluster that we had, and then we can start with the third round. So again we are doing another slip stitch here in the chain of 2 space, and then we are adding more clusters inside, so it's going to be quite similar. So first we are adding a chain of 2 and then 1 double crochet, and this will count as 1 cluster. After that we are chaining 3, 1, 2 and 3, and then we are again adding another cluster inside this same space like this. So this is what we have to add in, and then after each of them we are just chaining 2 and then proceeding with the next chain of 2 space. So again adding 1 cluster, which consists of 2 unfinished double crochets like that. After that we are chaining 3, 1, 2 and 3, and then again adding another 2 double crochet cluster in the same space like that, and then chaining 2 to proceed with the next one. So this is what you have to do during round 3. So just proceed with doing that all the way around and add in those clusters, and then again I will meet you back once we are able to connect this round together. Here I have gone all the way around to finish round 3, and now we can actually start with round 4 without doing a slip stitch. So our first step is to do a single crochet here inside the very first cluster that we have, and that will actually make our round connected as well, and then we are proceeding further with round 4. So our first step again is to do a cluster which consists of 2 unfinished double crochets like that. Then we are chaining 1, and then we are adding 1 double crochet inside this very same space. After that we are chaining 3, 1, 2 and 3, and then we are doing picot stitch here inside the double crochet that we did previously. So I'm just doing it there like that. After that we are again chaining 1 and then doing another 2 double crochet cluster inside the very same space like this. So this is how it looks, and then our last step is to just do a single crochet here on top of the following cluster that we have like that, and then we are just chaining 2 and proceeding with the next one. So let's do it together. So I'm just doing a single crochet on top of first cluster in there, then adding 1 cluster of 2 unfinished double crochets inside the chain of 3 space like that, then chaining 1 and doing 1 double crochet stitch inside the same space, and then we just have to do our picot stitch. So chaining 3, 1, 2 and 3, and then doing this kind of like a slip stitch inside double crochet stitch that we had like that, and then again chaining 1 and doing a cluster of 2 unfinished double crochets in the same space like this, and then our last step is to just do single crochet on top of next cluster, chain 2, and we can proceed with the next space and do the same. So as you can see, this is creating like a very nice shape for snowflake, and this is going to be our last round. So just continue doing the same all the way around, and I will meet you back again once we are able to fasten off. Here I have gone all the way around, and this is how our snowflake looks like, and now we can connect this round and fasten off. So again I will be doing a slip stitch here inside the first cluster that I have like this, and then we can fasten off by chaining 1, making the loop longer, and then just grabbing scissors and cutting off our yarn like this. And as it's cut off, we can just tighten by pulling this loose piece of yarn that we have here like that. So now our snowflake shape is finalized, and we can proceed further with making it into a square shape. So starting for round 5 we will be using this blue color, and our first step basically is to attach yarn, and we will be doing that here inside chain 1 space that we have from the previous round. So I'm just looping this yarn through and then attaching it by making a secure knot. So just tying a knot in here to make sure that it doesn't unravel, and then we can proceed further with this round 5. So our first step is to pull up a loop and then chain 1, and then in the same space we are adding 1 single crochet like this. After that we are just chaining 1, and then in the next chain of 1 space we are adding another single crochet, and then we are proceeding further with this chain of 2 space in between these 2 ones. So in the first step we are just adding 1 double crochet in there. After that we are again going to do a double crochet, but it will be kind of like double extended. So yarning over, going through this round 2, grabbing yarn and extending it, then yarning over and again doing the same thing. And now we basically have 5 loops on our hook, and then we can proceed further with kind of like completing double crochet. So yarning over and going through first 4, and then yarning over and going through remaining loops like that. And then it's just left for us to do another double crochet inside this chain of 2 space that we have here, like that. So now we can proceed further, and we will be adding a corner inside here, because this is kind of like the edge or middle of the edge that we have from the square. So for that, in this chain of 1 space, we are doing 2 double crochets. So this is 1, and then adding the second one, after that chaining 1, and then adding another 2 double crochets inside the next chain of 1 space. So this is 1, and then also adding the second one like this. So this is kind of like half of the one side, and we can proceed further with the next step. So inside this space here, we are adding the same that we did here. So let's do it again together. So first I'm adding double crochet, then we are doing this double extended double crochet, so going into round 2, and then doing double crochet as normally, and then adding another double crochet in the chain of 2 space like this. And then again we just have to do kind of like the middle of this part that we did when we started. So first we are doing 1 single crochet in the chain of 1 space. After that we are chaining 1 and adding another single crochet in the chain of 1 space that we have here, like that. And then again we just have to repeat the same that we did here, and after that we are adding corners. So this is always repeating after every stitch that we do. So you're doing this middle part here, then adding corner, then you have single crochets, again middle part, corner, middle part, single crochets, middle part, corner, and so on. So go all the way around, and I will meet you here once we are able to connect this round. Here round 5 is finalized, and as you can see we are basically establishing more like a square shape. So now we can connect this round as well to finish it off. And I'm doing here a slip stitch inside the single crochet that we did in the very beginning. And now we can proceed with round 6, which is going to be the final one, at least for myself. And this is going to be a very simple one. So we will basically be adding a double crochet on top of every single stitch, and in corners we will be doing 2 double crochets, chain of 3, and 2 double crochets. So let's get started and do some stitches together. So to get started, we first have to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and this actually counts as first double crochet. Then in this case we actually have to go inside this chain of 1 space, and in there we are adding 1 double crochet like that, and then we can just proceed with the rest of the stitches and adding 1 double crochet on top of each of them. So just continue doing this until you reach the corner part where we will be adding more stitches. Here I have done all double crochets to reach the first corner and this chain of 1 space, and in there, as I mentioned, we have to do 2 double crochets. So I'm just doing that like this, and then after that we are chaining 3, 1, 2, and 3, which helps our corner to turn, and then we are adding another 2 double crochets inside this very same space like that. So this is how it looks, and then right after that we can proceed further with just adding 1 double crochet on top of each stitch from the previous round, as well as in chain of 1 spaces in between the single crochet stitches. So just continue doing that, and remember to add your corners as well, and then I will meet you back again once we are able to connect this round and fasten off. Here I have gone all the way around with this round 6, and I have basically finished it. So now we can also connect it and fasten off. At least in my case I'm done. However, if you feel like you need a bigger granny square, you're more than welcome to just repeat this last round to add some more volume and make it bigger. But now let's connect it. So I'm doing a slip stitch here in the 3rd chain from the very beginning like this, and after that I can fasten off. So I'm just chaining 1, making this loop longer, then grabbing my scissors and cutting off yarn, and as it's cut off, I can tighten it in a secure knot like this. So here's our granny square, and this is how it looks. So now basically the next step is to replicate all of these steps to create multiple granny squares. And in total for this project you would have to create 17 granny squares in total. So here I already have most of them. So basically the number of squares needed depends on how long you want your scarf part to be. So you can increase or decrease by 2 more squares. So for example, you can go up to 19 or 21, or reduce it to 15 or 13, but I wouldn't recommend to go lower than 13. But for now, just continue creating your granny squares until you have reached the desired number, and then we can proceed further with connecting them together to create the actual balaclava scarf. Here I have prepared all the needed granny squares, and now we can proceed with connecting them together. First, I'm just laying them out all on the floor so it's easier to understand what goes where according to the pattern. So this is how it should look once all granny squares are connected together. And here I'm just showing all the connection points between each of the granny squares. So starting at the bottom from the scarf part, you can see that you would have to connect each granny square with each other from the sides. And then once we reach the balaclava part, you also have to attach those granny squares to the scarf part as well as with each other. And the granny square at the top, it will be connected with the granny squares on the sides from the one row below. But now let's proceed with connecting them together. So to connect granny squares together, I will be using this blue yarn, so it goes together with our final round that we did for the granny square. And to do that, we will be using slip stitches. However, if you wish, you're more than welcome to use a different method for them to be connected together, such as using darning needle or whatever works for you the best. And here I have already connected 2 of them together, so this is the look what we are going to aim for once these granny squares are connected. And as you can see, it's quite neat and smooth, as well as we have this border, which is just because we are kind of connecting only back loops from each side of these granny squares. But now let's proceed with adding another one here. So these 2 will be connected together as well. And first, I'm just also making sure that this loose end, it's kind of like part of the connection point. So we are kind of hiding all these loose ends inside and they are not hanging at the bottom where it would be more visible. But to connect them together, we first have to make sure that they are facing with the inside out on both sides, as you can see. And then our next step is to actually first attach yarn, and we will be doing that here in the corner chain that we have from each of them. So here I'm going through the middle chain from this corner and also going through the middle chain of the corner on the other granny square here, like that. After that, I'm just grabbing my yarn and pulling it through and then making a secure knot to make sure that it's attached securely and not going to unravel. And after that, we can proceed with connecting them together. So first, I'm just grabbing yarn and pulling up a loop like this, and then chaining 1 so we are able to get started. After that, we are just proceeding with the next chain here. I'm going through this chain from one granny square and also through the other one like that, then grabbing yarn and pulling it through the loop that I already had. And after that, we are proceeding with all the stitches that we have. So I'm going through the back loop of this stitch here and also through the back loop of the stitch on the other granny square like that, then grabbing yarn and just performing a slip stitch again. And once you're done with one stitch, then just proceed with the next one, and also make sure that you are going through the corresponding stitches from both squares. So just making sure that each of the stitch is exactly the same one as it is for both squares. And now I'm just proceeding with going all the way through until I reach the other end. And just to check how it looks, you can see that this connection is very smooth and neat once you turn it on the right side, and it brings a very nice look together. Otherwise, just proceed with connecting these granny squares together. Here I have already done most of these stitches and connected them together, so it's just left for me to do the last 2 from the corner part. So I'm just also performing these slip stitches in here like this, so the very last one. So now these granny squares are completely connected and we can fasten off. So for that, again, we are just chaining one, then making the loop a little bit longer, then grabbing our scissors and cutting off yarn. And as it's cut off, we can tighten in a secure knot just by pulling this loose end that we have here. And now we have already connected 3 of these granny squares together. So this is how it looks. And you can basically just proceed with adding more on each of the sides, whatever you prefer, until we have connected all of them that we are supposed to have for the scarf part. And if we turn it back on the other side, you can see that we have quite a lot of these loose ends, either from the granny squares or from the connection points. So whenever you feel like it, you can start weaving them inside the back side and through the stitches that you have. And for that, I normally use my crochet hook. However, if you feel like it, you can also use a darning needle. But the method that I'm normally using is with the crochet hook. So just going through like random stitches in the back side and grabbing these loose ends and weaving them through the stitches so they are not visible. And we have also a smooth look on the other side as well. So just do that and hide all your loose ends, either as you're connecting these granny squares or at the very end once everything is already connected. So this is how it looks once I have weaved in most of it already, and as you can see, it's not visible basically at all. So just do that to make sure that you have a smooth and clean look. Here I have already connected all of the squares for the scarf part, and this is how it looks. So now it's just left to connect the remaining ones with each other and then attach them in the middle of the scarf. Here I'm just doing the final stitches and as last also connecting the balaclava part with each other. The square at the top is supposed to be connected on the sides with the squares from the previous row. Now it's all done and this is how it looks once I'm wearing it. As you can see, it's super cute and you can style it in different ways and wrap the scarf part around your neck multiple times. Now the only thing that is left for me to do is to weave in all of these loose ends. So that was basically it from me today. I really hope that you enjoyed this video and I hope that you are going to have fun with this project if you are planning to replicate it. If you have any questions or need any help, then just feel free to reach out down below in the comment section and I will try to help you from there. But if you did enjoy this video, then please give me a big thumbs up, and if you're new to this channel, then please subscribe and I hope to see you later. And if you do manage to recreate this project, then just feel free to share it with me, tag me on Instagram or wherever you can find me, and I would be super happy to see your creations. But for now, let's say goodbye and I will see you next time. Bye!